Over the last 6 months, we have seen extraordinary, outrageous, and alarming use of biometric technology.
The group, which includes members of the City Council, state legislature, and Congress, displayed a letter they sent to James Dolan demanding that MSG only use facial recognition technology for security purposes. An MSG spokesperson tells us that they do not store data except on those who are banned. The officials say MSG should be clear about its practices since it receives an annual state tax abatement worth more than $40 million. And
you know, I was talking with someone about a couple of months ago, and we were talking about security. And basically, we were discussing about facial recognition and, you know, the pros and cons of it. And he worked in a security firm, and he was saying, you know, what stops people from misusing facial recognition? And I said, well, I haven't heard anything of that nature, that anyone on there. I mean, you use the facial recognition so you'll be able to weed out the terrorists and criminals, to protect people, especially in venues and airports throughout the world. But what we found out recently, and I know, you know, when I talk to my friend again, he'll probably say, see, I told you so. You have one particular company which owns right here in New York, that owns the Madison Square Garden, who's using the facial recognitions to keep out people he doesn't want to use his venues, his parts of the company, because he also owns Radio City Music Hall, and he owns other venue types that basically he's kept people out that he considers his enemy, or basically that it might be part of a law firm that's suing him. And you know, there's been more than one issue that's been happening. This happened during the Christmas season. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share. Once again, we're trying to get to 700 by the end of February. This is our goal. Thank you for those who have gotten us this far. We do really appreciate that, as it's getting harder and harder to work on YouTube. But also, we do have other social media platforms out there. So we're over at Odyssey, Rumble, and BitChute as well. So basically, lawmakers are now starting to look at this, and there's probably going to be an investigation on this. You know, again, facial recognition software was meant to weed out criminals, terrorists, that could end up, you know, injuring people, or, you know, cause major events at certain places, like I said, airports and venues, concerts and everything like that, restaurants. But what has happened, Madison Square Garden, and we'll read this from Fox News, controversy is growing over Madison Square Garden's use of facial recognition technology to screen its guests. The system has come under scrutiny after recent revelations that it has been used to ban attorneys who works with firms with pending lawsuits against MSG. A spokesperson for the MSG network told Fox 5 New York that once the litigation ends, the attorneys will be welcomed back, but a group of New York lawmakers is pushing back. Over the last 6 months, we have seen extraordinary, outrageous, and alarming use of biometric technology by the Madison Square Garden Entertainment, New York State Senator Brad Holman said. A group of lawmakers, which includes members of the New York City Council, state legislature, and Congress, displayed a letter that was sent to James Dolan, CEO of the Madison Square Garden Sports, Madison Square Garden Entertainment, and executive chairman of the MSG networks. The letter demands that the MSG only use facial recognition technology for security purposes. An MSG spokesman told Fox that they do not store the data except for those who are banned. The lawmakers say MSG should be clear about its practices since it receives an annual state tax abatement worth more than $40 million and other benefits like liquor license from the state. I don't think that this is allowed under New York State liquor licensing, so I wrote a letter to the SLA saying pulling their licenses if they continue to do so, said New York State Senator Lisa Kruger. A spokesperson for the MSG denied the lawmakers' claims that they maintained the large database and facial recognition used widely. Now, the thing is, we've heard this several times, and the thing is, this hasn't, it's not only at MSG. This happened at Radio City Music Hall. There was a woman who worked for a law firm who was taking a group of girls to the Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall. She was denied entry. The girls were allowed to enter, but she couldn't enter with the girls. Basically she was barred because she worked for that law firm. Now, the thing is, and I said this before, when it comes to facial recognition, it is for security purposes. Not what would be the purpose of keeping people that work for a law firm out of your services? That seems, to violate several laws on there. And the thing is that, I know that MSG has their rules on there, but I think that still violates some constitutional rights, because basically, you sell tickets, and you should not decline anyone for entry into your facilities or for the use of your facilities on there. Yes, you're in a lawsuit, but the thing about it is, they're not barring you from using their law firm for the situations if you need their legal help. They're not the people suing you. They're only the law firm hired by the person that is suing you. They're just the workers. They're just doing the work for somebody on there that most likely doesn't go to your stadiums, to your venues anymore because something has happened to them. I mean, you had a woman, bringing kids to a Christmas show, and you denied entry. How draconian is that? And they said, we don't store any material. Then how did you know who she is, and why did she get barred? And I know there was another person booted. There was like a third lawyer has been booted from Madison Square Garden. At least a total of 3 lawyers that have been booted already from the garden itself. If you don't store that material and stuff like that, then how you know who they are? And you've put their picture in your system to flag up, when it comes up. That's total bullshit. That's total bullshit. That's being childish to the situation on there. They're a paying customer, and I tell you, they could sue you back for that. You're adding another lawsuit to you, and now you have the state looking at this, which could end up losing your liquor license. I don't think the Knicks, the Ranger fans, and the WWE fans would appreciate that if basically they can't have a beer and a hot dog at an event at Madison Square Garden. They think with their ass, and basically their ass is handed to them. But this is the situation, and how many other companies, how many other places have done this to people when it comes to facial recognition? That they've barred them not because they are criminal, that they're a terrorist, that they would cause an issue to the situation, that there's someone that they don't like and they don't want them in their store or place of business. This is something that I think that needs to be looked at by government, because to use something of this nature and to misuse it, I think there should be some rules and regulations when it comes to this kind of security nature, and I think it should come from the state level, not from the federal level. So tell me in the comments below your thoughts to this situation. Is it in James Dolan's right to do this, or has he violated several laws constitutionally? Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for tuning in, and bye-bye now.